Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, as we get back to another episode of the Hoop Report, the NAIA Women's Basketball Podcast, episode 25. Lex, welcome back, dog. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's been a minute. I've missed you. I know that people have missed you as well. So I'm excited that we can touch on this and touch on the end of fall conference. Obviously, November is going to be over by the time the folks are watching this episode, or going to be getting ready with Thanksgiving week and all that kind of stuff. So fall conference play is done. There'll be a few games, I believe, this week that we'll touch on real quick. But for the most part, we are good to go when it comes to fall conference stuff. A lot of crazy things have happened. A lot of things kind of happened that we thought would happen. Have you been keeping up with everything? What's been the takeaways? Just kind of give the people at home an overarching view. Just letting them know like how much basketball have you been really taking in from the NAIA women's basketball world?
Life has been pretty busy, obviously, but for the most part, this is not leading into what we expected as far as the season coming in. We've predicted a couple of things, and obviously we have our wins, and we've been keeping track on the side, but for the most part, this season be one that we may not even be able to predict how it'll end, honestly.
I actually think that that's a great way to segue into this part of the episode. So for the people at home, Lex and I are going to touch on all the conferences so far, and then kind of biggest upset, so to speak, because there were some, especially this past week, in certain conferences that will not be named Frontier. But the rest of the episode then will be just me, and we'll be previewing the top 25. They're going to drop on Wednesday. You guys are watching, so it'll be Monday, obviously. But on Wednesday, the next set of shakeups that are going to be happening in the top 25. We're going to touch on every conference. Every single conference, we're going to give you guys like a quick run through of each one. Oh, this is what happened. This is who won, all that kind of stuff. We'll do our previews like we normally do. And we're going to circle back to the conferences that we feel like some of these games were a little unexpected, so to speak. We will start. We're going to save the Frontier for last because, good Lord, we got to save that one for last. We're going to start the AAC this past Wednesday. Obviously, we didn't have a midweek episode last week, so we're going to kind of have to go a little bit longer here. This past Wednesday in the AAC, Montreat beat Columbia International. Pikeville beat Johnson. Tennessee Wesleyan beat True McConnell. Bluefield beat Milligan. Bryan beat Brenau. Nothing, again, the AAC for the longest time has been a top-heavy conference, so a lot of these have been pretty much chalk, so to speak. Lex, you want to give the people at home the Saturday slate from the AAC?
On Saturday, Reinhardt beat Spartanburg Methodist. Pikeville massacred Montreat. We have a close game between Brno and CIE. CIE comes out on top. Johnson beats Columbia. Milligan overtops Union. And Bryan beats Tennessee Wesleyan.
Again, a lot of chalk, not too much to really talk about there. We'll give our quick takes for these Tuesday conference games that are going to be coming up. We'll talk about them, and then Lex and I, again, no real in-depth, just kind of our gut feeling on how things are going. I'm going to go Columbia over Columbia International. Lex, what are you going there?
I'm going to switch it up. I like CIE to really upset something just because it's been a while, but we still got to keep the same mentality. We love a mess.
Absolutely.
So let's switch it up.
I'm going to go Pikeville over Union. I assume you might go chalk with that one.
Yeah, 100%.
Reinhardt over True McConnell. Is that where you're going with too?
Yeah.
What about Bryan and Spartanburg Methodist?
Bryan.
I like Bryan there too. Johnson, Tennessee Wesleyan.
Tennessee Wesleyan.
Honestly, I'm not against it. I like it. It definitely would be an upset. I'm going to go Johnson in that one, but I could see where your head's at with that one. Now we're going to head over to the Heart of America. Pretty normal expectations from the Heart too. Culver Stockton over MBU 77-65. Could be an upset in some people's eyes, but I do think Culver Stockton is going to be a very good team this year in the Heart. Missouri Valley over William Woods 74-47. Receiving votes, Grandview handle business against Clark. Baker takes care of Park. Number 12, Mid-American Nazarene ekes by Benedictine, but again, Benedictine is a very good unranked team, 80-77 in that one, so definitely a nice contest between those two teams, and the ranked team coming out on top. William Penn over CMU. Peru State gets the win over Graceland. And then this past Friday, William Penn also beat William Woods 54-53, the closest game from this past weekend in the HOA. Lex, tell the people at home what happened on this past Saturday.
Peru State beats Clark 73-64. Mount Mercy and Mid-American Nazarene end up playing Mid-American takes that one very easily. And then we have Culver Stockton playing against Bend this week, and Bend takes the win 64-52. We have Grandview playing against, I honestly can't even see this too clear, but I know Grandview comes out on top easily. And then CMU and Park end up playing and goes to OT. CMU comes out on top by 5, and Baker and Missouri Valley end up playing this past Saturday, and Missouri Valley comes up by 10.
Then coming into Tuesday, it'll be Culver Stockton, CMU. Lex, you like Culver Stockton or Central Methodist in that one?
The Culver Stockton.
Same. Sure. I'm going to go with that one as well. Receiving votes, Grandview versus Graceland. Lex, who you like in that one?
I like an upset. Give me Graceland.
That's a heck of an upset. I'm going to go chalk with that one. I'm going receiving votes, Grandview. Benedictine, Missouri Valley. Which one do you like in that one?
Benedictine.
I'm going to go Benedictine as well. That team could honestly be receiving votes when the next polls come out on Wednesday with how good they've been playing. Mid-American Nazarene over Baker. I think that's a pretty safe assumption, don't you think?
Very safe.
Mount Mercy, William Penn. What about that one? Same.
William
I'm right
Penn.
there with you. I'm going Mount Mercy, but I understand the debate. I really do. And then Park and Peru State.
Park.
I'm going to go Park in that one as well. Jumping over now to the Chicagoland. This past Wednesday, Holy Cross wins their game in a forfeit. IU Northwest versus IU South Bend. IU South Bend takes the pretty handily victory in that one. Number 18, St. Francis handles business against Viterbro in a 30-point win there. Receiving votes, Governor State takes down Mount Mary. Olivier Nazarene takes down Judson. And then Calumet versus St. Xavier. St. Xavier handles business in that one. Lex, tell the people at home what happened this past Saturday.
I can't ignore that Governor State to Mount Mary game. I continuously keep looking at the score. I want to say it's a typo, but Saturday, St. Ambrose and IU Northwest end up playing. IU Northwest takes the game by 4. ONU and St. Xavier play that past day as well. St. Xavier comes up by 12. Holy Cross and Calumet plays. Holy Cross horrendously took that game. And then we have St. Francis ranked at 18 and Trinity Christian. St. Francis wins by forfeit. And Judson and Viterbro end playing, and Viterbro takes the game by 20. Lastly, we have IU South Bend and Mount Mary. IU South Bend comes up by 22.
And then for Tuesday, we've got Mount Mary versus Holy Cross. I'm going to go Mount Mary in that one. Lex, do you like the pick or are you going Holy Cross?
I like Mount Mary.
We're going to go Mount Mary. St. Ambrose over Viterbro. Are you going with me on that one too?
I would.
All right. And then receiving votes, Governor State over Calumet. Are you going to go with the upset just to be spicy, or are we going chalk in this one?
I'll go upset.
All right. I respect it, brother. Heading over now to the Sun. Going to be a quick one. This past Wednesday, we went up to Weber. Weber, great contest there. We were able to stick out a very tough win at the end there. Receiving votes, Florida Memorial takes down Warner. New College takes down Ave Maria. And then receiving votes, Southeastern takes down Coastal. Lex, tell people at home what happened this past weekend.
St. Thomas ended up playing against receiving votes Southeastern. Southeastern comes out on top. Kaiser plays against Warner. Kaiser takes the game. And then Ave Maria against Coastal Georgia. Coastal takes that win. And then New College of Florida against receiving votes Florida Memorial. Florida Memorial takes that one.
Again, the Sun will be done with it when it comes to conference play. We will pick it back up in January. So no weekday games and nothing in December to talk about there. Heading over now, we've got the GPAC. We've got the SAC, the Crossroads, Southern States, Red River, and the GSAC to go on. A few others as well. So we're going to start with the GPAC. Actually, we're going to skip the GPAC because they're another one that we're going to harp on a little bit because there was a nice little upset to talk about there. So we'll hold off on the GPAC for right now. So we will go flip it on over to the SAC. This past Thursday, John Brown, Wayland Baptist. John Brown with a nice win, 80-62 in that one. Langston handles business against Nelson. College of the Ozarks handled business against Panhandle State. The Battle of the Oklahomas, USAO takes down Oklahoma City. Mid-American Christian takes down Southwestern Christian, and then Central Christian versus Texas Wesleyan. Wesleyan takes that one by 11. Lex, Saturday games, how'd they go?
Panhandle State and John Brown are playing against each other. John Brown takes another one. Ranked number 2, Langston played against Texas Wesleyan. Langston takes that one by 9. Oklahoma City ended up playing against Mid-American Christian. MacU comes up by a decent amount. Wayland Baptist and the College of Ozarks play against this weekend, and Wayland Baptist comes out on top. Nelson and Central Christian come across each other, and Nelson wanted to leave an early Christmas gift, I guess. And USAO and Southwestern Christian comes up to play, and USAO takes it by 6.
A few more midweek games for the SAC. We'll go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday, you've got Texas Wesleyan, Nelson, Lex. You going Texas Wesleyan in that one too?
I am.
Then Tuesday, we've got John Brown, College of the Ozarks. That might be a very, very great game. I think that could be a toss-up. I'm going to go John Brown just because I'm really high on the Eagles. But if you're going College of the Ozarks, I completely understand.
Ozarks for sure.
I understand that one for sure. Wayland Baptist, Panhandle State. I'm going Wayland. Do you feel an upset here?
I do as well. Panhandle State.
All right. And then Wednesday, number 10, Langston over Central Christian. By then, Langston might be a little bit higher in the rankings, to be honest with you. I'm going to go Langston in that one. Are you going to go chalk?
Langston.
Langston in that one as well. All right. Now we're going to head over. These next few might be a little bit more rapid fire. I'm going to go Crossroads. One game that I did kind of want to touch on briefly is going to be the Spring Arbor versus Huntington game. Again, the Crossroads did start this past week when it comes to conference play, so a little bit different. Spring Arbor beats Huntington. Unranked Spring Harbor, I should say, beats Receiving Votes Huntington 74-62. It's a big win for me. Obviously, I know you and I were both high on these two teams. You were definitely a little bit high on Spring Arbor than I was, but I knew Spring Arbor was going to be a very tough game. Are you surprised by the upset? Are you glad there was an upset? Like, what are your takeaways from this game? Just from a quick take of like a outsider looking in of like, and not just a win, but a 12-point win there. Like it was a nice little win there for Spring Arbor.
I love the upset. I think, especially going back to our Crossroads video, this team was already a group of ladies who was supposed to come in and really mess up the rankings, and I think they're already starting to do that. So I'm very excited to see what else is going to happen. But great win by them, and I very much hope to see many more.
Looking at the box score, I mean, for Huntington, Liv Raby did a great job, double for her, 17 and 13, and then Allison Price, 10 points. But other than that, no other Huntington player was in double-figure scoring. But then you look over at Spring Arbor, to be honest with you, it was really just 3 ladies that could not be stopped. You looked at Megan Zitz, 20 points, Emma Sikeska, 18 points, and then Ashley Weller, 24. Right there, that's pretty much the game. You let those ladies pretty much all have 20 each. It's about 60 points that you're going to be giving up. It's going to be hard to beat any team, especially a team like Spring Arbor, who is looking to use that under the radar kind of title to their advantage. Looking around the rest of the Crossroads this past Wednesday, St. Francis, Indiana beats Mount Vernon Nazarene. Iowa beats Goshen. Marion handles Bethel, and then Taylor beats Grace. Lex, this past Saturday, a few more chalk games happening in the Crossroads.
Marion comes in to beat Spring Arbor. Taylor beats Iwu. St. Francis beats Grace by a landslide. Huntington beats Mount Vernon Nazarene. And Bethel beats Goshen by a lot.
And that'll be their end of conference play for now. Again, December's right around the corner, so like their next games are going to be December 3rd. It's not necessarily a big break, but it is a quick little breather for these teams before they re-see each other on December 3rd. That's gonna be a Wednesday. Heading over now to the Southern States. We'll touch on this one. There was one game that I do want to definitely talk about, and we can go a little bit in depth with it because these next few conferences, actually, we'll save the Southern States because that one's another one that might go a little bit longer. We'll go over to HBCU. Thursday, Rust beat Wibbler Force. Oakwood beats Talladega. Fisk beats Vuhiers. Paul Quinn beats Dillard. And then Southern University, Louisiana beats Houston Tilson. Lex, how did Saturday go in the HBCU?
Wilberforce takes another loss to Stillman. Wiley beats Tougaloo. Dillard beats Huston Tillotson. Paul Quinn beats the Southern University of Louisiana. Talladega beats Fisk. And Oakwood beats Vuhiers.
HBCU will not be conference games played until December 4th. That is a Thursday. So that'll be the next time we see some of these teams matching up this season. Going over to the WHAC, the last conference that we're going to touch on real quick briefly. Wednesday, Indiana Tech beats University of Ohio. Siena Heights beats Cornerstone. Aquinas beats Cleary. Lawrence Tech beats Michigan Dearborn. And then Lourdes beats Madonna. Lex, how did Saturday go for the WHAC?
Lourdes beats Cornerstone. Cleary beats Madonna in OT. Rochester beats University of Ohio. Indiana Tech beats Aquinas by almost 30. And Michigan Dearborn beats Siena Heights by 2.
Very big win there for Michigan Dearborn. Wanted to give them an extra second there because that is a nice win to kind of build your program and building that culture over there, Michigan Dearborn. Tuesday, there are going to be some WHAC games being played. Lourdes and Rochester. I'm going Lourdes there. Lex, you like Lourdes in that one too?
I do. No, I don't. I like Rochester.
That's fine. I understand. It's been a minute. Got to get these picks in order. University of Ohio, Madonna. I'm going University of Ohio simply because they need a win. And I was high on this team going into the season. I'm still high on them. It's been a tough start, obviously, dropping those 2 games. I will say Indiana Tech, it's a tough game. Rochester, it's also another tough game. So I don't think it's a bad loss, but I do think it's time for them to get the win. It'll be a tough one because I think Madonna is looking for their first win. Obviously, one of these teams will get their first conference win after Tuesday. But I'm going to go University of Ohio. I feel like they need a little bit more. Lex, who are you going to go with?
I think Madonna still needs it.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Again, both teams lost to some tough games. Obviously, Cleary and Madonna goes to overtime. Madonna could have easily won that one down the stretch there, but definitely a tough one to swallow. So that could be an underrated game going into conference play for the WHAC. I got Cornerstone over Defiance. Lex, do you feel the same?
Yes.
Then I've got Siena Heights over Lawrence Tech. Any difference there?
No.
And Indiana Tech over Cleary.
Yeah.
Indiana Tech over Cleary. The last thing we'll do before we revisit those conferences that we skipped because of some interesting games we want to talk about real quick. The conferences who are yet to play. AMC, the American Midwest, they will be starting December 1st for their conference play. The River States will be starting December 2nd. The Cascade will also be on December 2nd. And then January 8th, the new year will be starting with the Mid-South and CalPAC on, again, January 8th. Just want to let everybody know at home when these other conferences will be starting their conference play. Obviously, not as many teams or different scheduling or whatever the case may be, but we still have 5 conferences that have not started to play just yet. All right, Lex, we skipped 3 conferences for a reason. The Frontier, the GPAC, and the Southern States. I want to start at the end there. We're going to start with the Southern States because they are the least upset team, I guess you can talk about, or upset conference you can talk about. We'll go Southern States, then GPAC, and then we'll go Frontier and wrap it up, and then we'll send it over to the top 25 predictions. Southern States, Thursday, Life beat Point, Faulkner beat Blue Mountain, UT Southern beat Mobile. Pretty chalk. Don't think anything crazy was there. Even the scores kind of went the way we thought they would. Over on Saturday, Thomas beat ABAC. Again, Thomas is going to have a really good season. I think they're going to be an underrated team in the Southern States. Keep an eye on them if they continue to trend in this direction. I know that from firsthand experience. Life beat Bruton Parker. I consider it an upset, but at the same time, I do think both of these teams are pretty even keel. The one thing I am surprised about, it was a little bit of a wider margin than I thought it might be. I'm not surprised that Life won. I am surprised it was almost a 30-point, well, it was over a 30-point win. So definitely give credit to Life on that front. I do think this Bruton Parker team is way better than their record shows. Do not let the record kind of shy you away from them. They're still going to be a very tough team in the Southern States when it's all said and done. So you definitely want to give them their flowers. Faulkner beat UT Southern. Faulkner, obviously, they just came off beating a D1 a couple weeks ago. Got to give them their flowers for that one. You handle a UT Southern team who has an upset victory over Cumberlands of Tennessee on their resume. You handle them by 13. It's a very nice win. What are your takeaways from these 2 games that we're talking about right there with Life and Faulkner? Is it more on who won? Is it more on who lost? Is it a little bit of both? Just kind of what are your takes on those 2 games?
I think for Life and Bruton Parker, it would be leaning more towards who lost. As you said, we're very high on this Bruton Parker team. They have what it takes, and we can't write a record for anybody because at the end of the day, records are important, but playoffs are where it counts. And for this Faulkner and UT Southern game, it's very much about who won in that factor. Because, as you said, Faulkner is kind of on a high. And they're continuing to keep that momentum pushing to where it can very much affect the rankings being a swap that we always speak about.
And to be honest with you, I think Faulkner has a good enough resume now to be receiving votes come Wednesday, just because you played Southeastern at the beginning of the year very tightly, who is now undefeated, and they will be in the top 25 next polls. You just beat a UT Southern team by 13, again, who beat some very good teams in their own schedule so far. It's giving receiving votes at least. You know, you got to give them some credit. And again, while the D1, I don't think that D1 game is going to help. It might probably was just an exhibition, whatever the case may be. So those don't obviously count towards any rankings. But just from a personal standpoint, it always looks good, and it's always a nice little notch on your belt. We're going to skip the William Carey game because that's the game that we're going to talk about a little bit more in depth. Blue Mountain Christian beat Mobile 70-62. And then the next conference games for the Southern States will be December 2nd on Tuesday. William Carey upsets Loyola 69-54. I got the box score pulled up here, Lex, and I was looking over it before we started recording. I'm not gonna lie to you. This game is giving the box score doesn't tell the story, because you look at Loyola, they had 19 turnovers, they had 10 offensive rebounds, they shot the ball 41% from the field, 35 from the three-point line, 54 from the free throw line on 6 of 11. Could have been better for sure. You look over at William Carey, they had less turnovers at 11, so that definitely is going to be a big part there. They had 11 offensive rebounds. They shot the ball about the same across the board. Even the free throws, it was 83, but that was 5 of 6. So it's just given a game that the eye test is really what it came down to. What is your takeaway from seeing the score, seeing who won, seeing just the teams involved, and why this game might have gone the way it did for William Carey coming out on top?
I think you mentioned it very, very clearly. You very much brushed over it. Turnovers. Loyola having 19 is unheard of. That's disgusting. And that very much set them apart between a very tough William Carey team. If you can't handle the ball, especially when you play against these tough teams, they'll take advantage of that. These teams are constructed to take an advantage over the weaknesses. So if you turn the ball over 19 times, almost 20 times, to your opponent's 10, 11, you give away almost twice as much. It's expected.
And to be honest with you, I mean, so obviously I said 19 turnovers for Loyola. You know, William Carey, their points off turnovers is only at 13. So it wasn't like they necessarily dominated that, even though you had an extra 8 turnovers compared to your opponents. What I will say, and looking at the scoring, that's probably where my eyes go to, because both teams had three players in double figure scoring. All of them, and almost all of them were 15 and above. If you look at the rest of it, though, and I'm going to start with Loyola. Obviously, we know the big three: Thornton, Odell, Travis, 18, 17, 13, respectively. Those ladies did what they were supposed to do and what they're always going to do. But then you look at the rest of the team. 6 combined points by the rest of the team. It's not going to work. Only 2 other players not named Odell, Travis, and Thornton scored. That was McPipe with 4, and then Smith had 2. You look over at William Carey, 17, 14, and 14 to lead the scores by Brooklyn, Madeline, and Chenille, right? Again, that's going to cancel out what the big 3 for Loyola did on paper. But then you go deeper into the role players and the ones that played their role to a T. You've got 9, 6, 5, and 2 and 2. So that's 4, 9, 18, about 24 points from the rest of the rotation for William Carey. That's the trade-off. Like, that's what's going to end up coming out of it. And so my takeaway from this game is that Loyola is going to be one of the best teams every single night because of the 3 players that they have to lead the way offensively. What are we going to get from the rest of the offense? We need some more constant offense from there. And they don't got to be anything crazy. Again, you had for William Carey 3 players that scored at least 5 or more points. That's perfectly fine. Like, that's exactly what we're looking for.
Give me 6 each.
Give me 6 each, and before you know it, now that's the deciding factor in these close games, which is what I'm going to keep talking about when we talk about this Loyola team. Moving forward, my takeaway is going to be who else stepped up besides those 3. Yeah, I have all the confidence in the world. With those 3 alone, you're getting a top 4 seed in the Southern States. That's how high I am on those 3. But to win the Southern States, like they have done in the past, and like they have been close to doing in the past, you're going to need more people in that roles. Where do you think it comes from, though? Do you think it does come from the half court, from the full court, from the turnovers, just not giving away the ball? Like, where would you like to see that continuity change a little bit for Loyola?
It definitely is with the turnovers. I think turnovers, even though teams may not profit off of the points off the turnovers so much, it definitely does take a hit on their like character and their energy and their motivation going into the games and to halftime into these last minute quarters. It takes a lot out of them. So it definitely takes a hit to their character. And with that, it's about keeping the group as confined as possible. Because if you are down a bit and you take a couple turnovers to the chest, it it takes the feel out of you. It's like you're getting hit by a truck. So I definitely think that managing those turnovers do a lot more than just maintaining the ball, but it helps maintain for them.
I do think that might be a wake up call for Loyola. I do think they'll have a great rest of the season. And again, it's nothing against William Carey. William Carey is one of the best teams in the country. They were receiving votes at one point this year. They'll probably get back into that now with this upset victory. So it's nothing against William Carey. It's just we expect more from Loyola, from like you said, the turnovers part of it and the offensive part of it. I think this team is very deep offensively. Might have just been a rough shooting night. Might have been William Carey's defense, which I'm going to lean towards with what the turnovers were telling me. So I definitely a lot to look at for Loyola. We're going to talk about the GPAC here real quick. We'll touch on the quick games and then we will head back and we'll take a quick break and then we're going to come back to finish up the GPAC and then also the Frontier, which is obviously the one that I'm really excited about. This past Wednesday in the GPAC, Mount Mary beat Midland 76-47. Dakota Wesleyan, number 16 in the country, handles receiving votes Morningside. Dort, let me tell you something, Dort. That was a close one. I watched that game. I saw the end of it. I saw the game winner by Macy Severs. Hey, hats off. Big time players make big time plays. She did what she had to do. But that was a close one. Northwestern almost had y'all right there, but Dort does come out with this 2-point victory there. Number 9, Briar Cliff, 100. Waldorf, 51. Dominant. That's all you got to say. And then number 11, Concordia handles College of St. Mary's. Wrap it up on Wednesday with Hastings versus Don. Hastings takes the nice blowout victory there. Lex, we're going to skip the Mount Mary and Morningside game because that's what we're going to talk about, obviously. Tell the people at home the rest of the slate this past Saturday.
Waldorf and College of St. Mary's played together, and St. Mary's comes out by 6. Midland and number 6 Dakota Wesleyan play, and Dakota Wesleyan takes it by almost 50. And then you have Briarcliff and Doane playing. Briarcliff takes it by 20. Concordia ranked at 11 against Northwestern. Concordia takes that by 22. And then you have Hastings ranked at 25 against number 1 ranked Dort. Dort takes that by almost 40.
And that's where we're going to end it here. Take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about that Mount Mary game, and then we're going to give our picks for the week games for the GPAC. Don't go anywhere. And we are back now after our quick break there. Before we continue, Lex and I were talking for a minute there during the break, and we decided we're just going to leave this episode with the conference takeaways, and we'll do the top 25 stuff tomorrow, Tuesday. That'll drop so that you guys can have that ready for Wednesday, and then that way we do owe you guys an extra episode from last week, so we'll make it up for by giving y'all 3 this week. But we're going to head back to where we left off, the GPAC. Talked about what happened Wednesday, talked about all but one Saturday game. We'll start with the Tuesday games because, again, that Saturday game that I want to talk about with Mount Mary and receiving votes Morningside, definitely want to deep dive into it a little bit. Tuesday, Midland, College of St. Mary. Lex, who do you have in that one?
Give me College of St. Mary's.
I went Midland. I like that one. Concordia, Mount Mary. Mount Mary coming off of a big win, obviously. Can they do back-to-back upsets, Lex?
Yes.
Ooh, that's a big one. That's a big one. I've been a Bulldog fan lately, and I'm going Concordia, but I don't blame you for riding the wave that is Mount Mary right now. Morningside over Waldorf. That's what I'm going to go with. Now, Lex, do you think there's some hangover from that upset loss that Morningside received?
Nah, I think that I just gave them the wake up call they needed. Morningside.
And now, arguably, the game of the week from a conference side of things. Number 9, Briar Cliff. Number 16, Dakota Wesleyan. Lex, who are you going with? What is your gut telling you? Are we going to be in for a classic between these two teams?
Dakota in OT.
Dakota in OT. I'm going Briar Cliff. I like the OT pick, though. I'll stick with the OT pick. But Dakota, what is it about it? What is it about this game that makes you say Dakota Wesleyan is going to come out on top?
They're on a high right now, and you can't take them off the high horse unless they take themselves off.
I'm not mad at it. Again, obviously Dakota Wesleyan, like you said, riding a good wave, starting 2-0 or with 2 wins in the GPAC already in dominant fashion. You know, we're going to call it what it is. Can they ride that wave? Is going to be a big thing. I do think if Dakota Wesleyan wins this game, it is going to be from an energy standpoint. I think they're going to be able to galvanize the troops, so to speak, and be ready to go. Briarcliff it's a tough task. You got to be the margin of error between these two teams is a lot different. Briarcliff doesn't have to play perfect basketball to win. Dakota Wesleyan does. And so that's where I'm going to be looking at, turnovers, rebound battle, free throws, the easy ones around the rim. Can Dakota Wesleyan clean those up and make that a clean game? And we'll be looking at a good contest. But I do think overtime might be in play for both of these teams. But we're going to talk about Mount Mary versus Receiving Votes Morningside. Mount Mary comes out with the win, speaking of OT, in extra basketball, 86-83. Lex, what was it about this game that stood out to you the most? What was it that you wanted to talk about? What was it that you wanted to harp on in this upset win for Mount Mary?
The kind of evened out contribution in this game that reached almost a total of 200 points. It was a very strong battle from both sides. Bunch of their starters on both ends, double digits, and the amount of defensive effort that went into the game to keep a game going into OT under 90 is very much unheard of. So it was very much a good game.
And kind of talking about that point, the double figure scoring numbers are very different for these two teams. They were both there, but they're very different. Kind of what we talked about earlier in the episode with Spring Arbor and Huntington. Same thing here. Mount Mary, they had 4 out of their 5 starters in double figures. Morningside only had 3. Those extra 20 points pretty much is what they are minimum of that. It's going to help in a game like this because now if you take away, let's say it goes 3-3, you got to subtract at least 20 points from Mount Mary. It's a different ball game. Now we look at a Morningside probably blowout win in all respects. I do want to shout out Lily Bolston, 31-10, and Lacey Sparkle from each team. An absolute duel by the two ladies, 31 and 28 for Lacey, 28 points for Lacey, 31 for Lily. For Lacey, she also went 11 for 11 from the free throw line. And that's also what I wanted to point out. Mount Mary shot 26 free throw attempts. Morningside only 16. That's an extra 10 trips to the line. Those matter in these kind of games, whether it's a referee thing, whether it's good basketball that leads to, some foul opportunities for Mount Mary, or it's just bad defense from Morningside. Whatever the reason is, at the end of the day, Morningside had 10 less attempts than Mount Mary. And Mount Mary made 20 out of those 26 attempts. That's an extra 8 points because Morningside, they went 12 for 16, which is not bad. Like you only missed 4 free throws when you shot 16. That's a very efficient number. But again, that's 8 points
nearly
less.
As many attempts.
So you got to look at it from that standpoint. For me, that's what it came down to. I do think, and sometimes you look at upsets and you're like, oh, they just didn't play or they got outplayed. I think it was an even matchup. I just think Morningside kind of put themselves behind the 8 ball in a lot of different aspects than Mount Mary did. And again, Mount Mary capitalized on them. Credit to that team for what they did. It's a big win, and it's going to be, like I said, a big momentum play moving forward that I think is going to help a lot of teams, and it's going to hurt Morningside for sure in the polls and whatnot. But I think this kind of shows how deep the GPAC really is. It's not just Dort and everybody else. It's not just Dort, Briarcliff, and everybody else. There is some upsets brewing in the GPAC that I think need to continue to be eyed and need to continue to be looked at throughout the season. Now, the main one, the one I'm excited to talk about because we talked about it in the preseason previews this past summer. The Frontier is as wild as the West. It's not the Wild Wild West. It is the West because it's so wild. It is crazy what we're going to be watching, and it's crazy what's already happened. After we talk about the Frontier, you and I will pick out of all the upsets we've talked about from Spring Arbor, Huntington, from Mount Mary, Morningside, from the ones we're going to talk about in this conference. We're going to pick our biggest upsets so far. Now, obviously, there's been a few more games before, but we're going to stick to this past week and what happened this past week. And obviously, like I always like to say, KCAC, you guys are different. You guys especially have your own little side that we'll talk about on our Instagram page. Frontier Conference. This past Tuesday was when it started. Valley City versus Mayville State. Valley City won 74-59. Solid. To be honest with you, kind of a chalk game for me. Then we head over to Friday. Out the gate. Number 17, Rocky Mountain.
Friday.
Bismarck State I'm thinking, and no disrespect to Bismarck State, I just think Rocky Mountain was a better team. It is what it is. I go to look at the notes. I go look at the schedule. That thing says Bismarck with the 93-88 upset. I said, excuse me?
Right.
Talk to me about this game. Talk to me about this game, because before we get to the rest of it, because a lot of the other stuff kind of went the way we thought it would. Dakota State over Providence, Montana Tech over Mayville State, even though we're going to talk about Montana Tech in a minute here. Mount Western over Valley City, Carroll over Dickinson State. MSU Northern did upset Bellevue. I consider that an upset. Not a big upset, but I do think Bellevue is a better team. So it's a nice win for MSU Northern. But just talking about this Rocky Mountain game and Bismarck game.
Bismarck lived in the second quarter. In the second quarter alone, Bismarck put up 31 points, which was the largest quarter win for the game for any team. Bismarck was living in the mid-range. You literally couldn't tell them to miss from that point. But 2 of the 14 attempts and 10 makes were outside of the three-point line, and only 1 free throw within that quarter. That's a lot to take into account, especially with the game starting off the rip was fairly close. You could honestly say it was going either way. And for Bismarck to come out the gate second quarter and put the belt to the rear, it very much set the tone that coming out of halftime, Rocky Mountain was as rocky as a mountain that you would think they would be heading out from the second half.
And it's like you said, the second quarter was what happened. Again, I have the stats pulled up here. Rocky Mountain, first quarter, 23-19, 4-point advantage for Rocky Mountain. We're going to flip the second quarter. Third quarter, 19-16. Rocky Mountain won that one. Last quarter, 27-23. Bismarck State won that one. It was the second quarter. Like it was that was it. 31-23. That is what happened in the second quarter that led to what ended up being a big upset victory for Bismarck State. And we talk about some key players that happened, or I'll even say this. Almost every upset we've talked about so far, the ones that we've gone in depth on, the common theme has been we over them. The depth of all these upset victories has to be the biggest thing people have to notice here. That number means something. If the number 1 team in the country and the Dordt Defenders come into your gym, hey, it's going to be a tough game. But at the end of the day, you're going to take a team effort over individual players.
Any day.
Rocky Mountain has 3 very top-notch players. You have Paige, Isabella, and Brenna. They combined for 64 of the team's 88 points. But Bismarck had a more balanced attack. They had 5 players in double figures scoring. Those 5 players combined for 71 of the 93. That means you're still left with about 20 more points that were spread out around the rest of the team. 28 bench points for Bismarck to 9 by Rocky Mountain. That you just can't overcome that. You can't overcome that. That's going to be such
an impact.
You need to see, this goes for any team out there. You play a top 25 team, whether the number 1, the number 25, or the receiving votes. The name of the game is going to be, can we have a better team effort than this top team in the country, this ranked team in the country, whatever the case may be? That's been my biggest takeaway from this entire week so far. This might be the biggest upset week from so far up to this point, especially considering it is conference, and obviously these are the games that are going to matter, because if you're Rocky Mountain, we can't shake it. This game is going to haunt you. Like, you could go perfect the rest of the Frontier. You could dominate the Frontier. You could be the number 2 seed in the Frontier. But the reason you're not number 1 might be because of this game. Like, we're just going to call a spade a spade. This is one of those games that you look back on at the end of the season, when postseason comes around, and you got to match up with Dakota State, with a Montana Tech in the second or the first round, because you didn't handle business in the fall. And that's kind of what it comes down to. This is going to be a game for Bismarck. Hats off to you. Your first year in the NAIA, your first year in the Frontier, and you come out with a bang. You come out with a bang. I got to give credit where credit is due. Is there anything else that you kind of noticed from this game that you definitely wanted to harp on, that you wanted to let the people know? I mean, we can even look back. I can read off the stats again for us. Rebounds, 8 offensive rebounds for Rocky Mountain. You had 14 for Bismarck. That's another stat that they dominated in and that they handled. Free throw attempts, 10 of 15 for Bismarck, 9 of 13 for Rocky Mountain, 13 of 21 for Rocky Mountain from the three-point line. You shot 61% from the three-point line. And Bismarck, they shot 45%. Like, statistically, looking at these numbers, you might assume that Rocky Mountain should have still come out with the victory, but it was 10 minutes. It was one 10-minute stretch that really just changed the game. Is there anything else you want to harp on before we move over to Saturday and what happened on Saturday?
You kind of made that point very clear when you said that this is one of those games that you look back into the schedule come February, March, and you kind of wonder yourself why you're second, third, fourth even in the conference. And this is a prime example of why that may be.
It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a tough game that I know Rocky Mountain wants back. I'm not 100% certain on how the conference will shake out. Like, for example, in the Sun, we play everybody twice. Doesn't always happen that way. So I don't know if they're going to see each other again. If they do, popcorn, get your popcorn ready for that one. But it's very going to be a really big win for Bismarck. And I wanted to give them their moment in the sun, or moment in the spotlight, because that's an impressive win. That's an impressive win. It's going to shake up the top 25. It's going to shake up the Frontier. It's going to shake up your own season. It's going to be a very, very impressive win. Heading over now to Saturday, MSU Northern, Dakota State. Dakota State wins that one handedly in that game. Now, Carroll, Bismarck. Carroll wins, but I want to point out it was a 4-point game. Seasons are turned on one game. A win or a loss can change the trajectory of an entire season.
100%.
Yes, Bismarck lost. Yes, they're, I believe, 1-4 now. They're 1-1 in conference play. But I want y'all to notice what an 11-point or what a double-digit almost win for Bismarck does when you now play against number 14 in the country. You only lost by 4 points. It wasn't a blowout. So understand this Bismarck team has found some confidence. I'm not picking them to win the Frontier. I'm not picking them to be the number 1 seed.
I might.
But if they roll into your gym, if you roll into their gym, do not take that game lightly, because they have proven to be able to compete with the best in the Frontier. So I wanted to give them their moment with that one. Montana Western versus Mayville State. Montana Western 81-60. Receiving votes, Providence takes down Bellevue 74-71. Another close game right there. Frontier, got to be careful with these close games now. We're going to skip the Montana Tech game because that's another one we're going to talk about here. And then Rocky Mountain gets the bounce back win in dominant fashion, 76-56 against Dickinson State. Last game we're going to talk about here before we pick our biggest upset of the week. Number 1, Montana Tech, or number 21, versus Valley City State. Valley City State comes out on top with a 3-point victory. Lex, what was it about this game that stood out to you when you looked at the numbers, look at the stats, look at the notes? What was it about this game that you really could not get over?
You know how I feel about turnovers. It's atrocious when I see a number of turnovers reach closer to 20 than it is to 10. That's just a baseline. Anything over 15 just scratches my brain the wrong way. But to have 22 is, especially when you've secured a ranking within the NAIA in general, to come out and perform 22 turnovers on a given night. I don't know what they ate before that game. I don't know what the ritual was, but they have to change that. That's not okay at all.
And I do want to quickly mention that Providence Bellevue game did go into double overtime, so that game was a lot closer than maybe even the score suggests, which is crazy to think. But back to Montana Tech, Valley City. For me, this was the only upset this entire week where I felt the unranked or underdog team won. They imposed their will on the ranked opponent, because Valley City, these were the quarter scoring numbers. 13-9 first quarter, very low scoring quarter, obviously. Valley City wins. 16-12 second quarter, Valley City wins. 21-12 fourth quarter, Valley City wins. And in the third quarter, 25-11, Montana Tech won. You won only one quarter out of the 4. Granted, it was the biggest win in the quarter scoring, 25-11, but one quarter is not going to be enough, even if you have a dominant quarter like that, because you've given this team confidence. Going into the halftime break, the Vikings were up. They were up by, what is that?
A decent amount.
11-29. They're up over twice what you have scored. So they have all the confidence in the world. Yes, you come out in the third quarter and you put it on them a little bit and you strengthen the deficit, obviously. But they already had confidence at that point. You are not playing. I always say it. When you give a team, an underdog, confidence, they're going to start playing out of character. No disrespect to Valley City. I'm not saying those ladies can't hoop. I know they can hoop. They're playing the college basketball. But now you've added in that element of, even if they didn't fully believe, oh no, now we don't believe, we gonna do it. Now we gonna go out there, moving with a different swagger, moving with a different confidence about ourselves, and it leads to what we see. It still was only a 3-point game. It still was only a one possession game when it's all said and done. But I put this on Montana Tech for allowing Valley City to have such a good first half. It's gonna carry over. It's gonna carry over, and I'm pretty sure. And Valley City was at home. So you even throw in that factor, it was a recipe for success for Valley City. Credit the Vikings. They went out and took it. They did not let Montana Tech give it to them, even though, like you said, 22 turnovers is a lot to be able to have. But when you look at the scoring, I mean, both teams shot in the 30s across the board for the most part. No one had a crazy shooting night. No one had anything unforeseen. Like, it really was just the fact that Vikings were ready to play. They wanted the challenge. They wanted to smoke. They stepped up to the plate. And Montana Tech, I'm going to be honest, kind of got caught on their back foot. That's really what my biggest takeaway was from this game.
Really worried out of my mouth. Montana Tech, just those turnovers. I'm not gonna ignore it. Like, there's just no way that you can succeed or expect to succeed when you give the ball away that much.
And at the very end, we'll wrap it up because we talked about it with the other upset games. The depth. Tiana and JC for the Vikings off the bench combined for 27 points. Outside of Hallie and Brooke for Montana Tech, the rest of the team alone for Montana Tech combined for 27. It's just not going to work. You got to have complete offensive contribution across the board for everybody that touches that court, even if it's just a free throw. That free throw can be the difference between a win and a loss when it's all said and done, especially in the wild, wild west that we call the Frontier Conference. Lex, we've talked about almost every conference in the NAIA at this point. We talked about pretty much every single upset, the big ones, even the little ones that we wanted to kind of sprinkle in there. For you, what conference had the biggest upset this past week in the NAIA?
The GPAC.
The GPAC. I'm not going to lie, you threw me for a curve there. I thought it was going to be a Frontier team for sure. Tell me why the GPAC. I'm assuming you mean Morningside and Mount Mary.
I think that one was the biggest upset just due to the fact that it was one of the only games within our upset discussion that have gone OT, if I'm not mistaken. And with that, it was, from perspective outside looking in, it was more so a matter of who was going to put up the more points between Lily and Lacey. Because if you look at it, again, from the outside looking in, if Lacey would have had one more three to tie game, double OT. They have the same amount of points, scores the exact same. It can go either way at that point. But I think this game was more of an upset for me just to see the amount of equal distribution across both teams that went into the game and to see how one was able to stand out. Yeah, rankings and everything play a part into it. As far as a game that went in a direction that it wasn't supposed to, I take this game just because of the fact that those combined 20 or so ladies that were able to step on the court and impact this game in this quantum form, it literally took every single one of them to make the game what it was.
I like that pick. Again, you definitely threw me for a curve. I thought you were going to go one of the frontier games. And I will. I just don't know which one. For that Mount Mary and Morningside game, you hit on the nail. It might have been the only upset game that felt even. Like, it wasn't a situation where one team outplayed the other. They both played very well. They both played like they deserved to win that game. You just can't do it. There are no ties in basketball. And like you said, Lily and Lacey, that was a classic duel. That's one of those, you pull up, you're a kid back when you're younger playing basketball and you want to watch some great basketball. You turn on one of those highlights, those House of Highlights, those GD highlights back in the day, and you just watch two of the best go at it blow for blow. And that's the way we got this past weekend in the GPAC between those two ladies. For me, it's going to be between Rocky Mountain losing or Montana Tech. What I'm going to say is I'm going to go with the Rocky Mountain Bismarck game. Why?
For sure.
This game is a twofold double-edged sword. And I'm giving this game the nod because of what happened for Bismarck the next game. Again, no disrespect to Bismarck. They are proven capable of beating some of these top teams in the country. But you just beat number 17, and then the next day, not even the next week,
24 hours.
The next day, you are one possession away from forcing extra basketball against number 14 in the country. Like, I'm not going to overlook the entire picture here. So I'm going to go Bismarck because as of right now, this win for Bismarck looks like it could be a launch pad for what's to come. Not saying they're going to be a top even 4 team in the conference. I don't think they will. But if they have a run later in the year, if they do what a lot of these teams last year did in their conference tournaments where they get the 5th seed, the 6th seed, and they just catch lightning in a bottle and go off, I'm going to come back to this past Friday. I'm going to look at the exact date so that we can, if I can say the full effect of this sentence. I'm going to look back at Friday, November 21st, and talk about the fact that Bismarck beat number 17 in the country by multiple possessions. And that is what we should have known at that point, like, hey, this team can do it. It was a complete team effort. You saw the depth, you saw the versatility, and the last point I'll make before we wrap it up here and send the people into their week. It goes to show you do your job as a team for 30 minutes in the case of this game. And then for 10 minutes, you have what they had, which is where they couldn't miss. They were shooting rocks into the ocean the entire second quarter. They couldn't miss even if they wanted to. But that goes to show you the foundation that they have within their program, the foundation they have within their team to put themselves in that position. Because let's say you don't do well the other 30 minutes. That 10 minutes doesn't matter, which we saw in the Mountain Tech game, in the Montana Tech game, where they were good for 10 minutes in that third quarter, but the other 30 were not good. And so you didn't have enough to win that game. This Bismarck game is going to be a very telling game. And I said both sides, because for Rocky Mountain, same thing. If they don't get a top seed, if they fall out because of a common opponents or a tiebreaker, whatever it is, head to head, whatever it is, it's going to be the Bismarck game. It's going to be the game that they shouldn't have lost, that they were the favorites in, and they were not able to come away with it. What is your final takes on that Rocky Mountain game, or even any of these upset games that we kind of talked about in this episode, whether it's a good thing, a bad thing, whatever it is? What would be your parting thoughts here for the people at home?
It's a great thing that things aren't going the way that they're supposed to. And that's just the best way to leave it. Makes this game of basketball a lot more fun. It makes it a lot more interesting. It makes it a lot more reason for you to watch.
I was thinking the other day, NAIA, unpredictability, all this stuff. I'm sure you saw on our socials, Grace had set the record for most points in a game at the college level, across any level. And I realized something. NAIA, the National Athletic Association, anything can happen. Anything will happen. Nothing is guaranteed in the NAIA. We need to understand that, because moving forward in these conferences, things are going to only shake up even more. We're excited for it. We're ready for it. Things are about to pick up quickly. Obviously, we got Thanksgiving break coming up here with these next couple of days. A lot of these teams are going to rest up, recharge. We've got a lot more conferences getting ready to start in December.
Thanksgiving is the college basketball's nightmare.
It's feast week, because you lock in for this week. You might have a couple games in December to tune yourself up. And we're in December, dog. Like, 2025 is over. 2025 is over. It's done. It's pretty much it. It's got 30 or so days, and then we're out of here, and we're going into January for the new year. And once we hit January 1st, and more specifically January 8th, it's about to be all gas, no brakes, no curveballs, no sliders, straight gas the rest of the season. I'm here for it. I'm excited, Lex. It was great to have you back, dog. I know it's been a struggle trying to get our schedules synced up, but I do think moving forward is going to be a lot easier now. Things are going to be more concrete. All these conferences are going to play on the same day, so it's going to be a lot easier to see everything. I'm excited, dog. I'm excited. I'm glad you're able to follow me and talk a little bit of more hoops. Can't wait to do it again. Everybody at home, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all the support. we are thankful for you guys. I'm going to say it all week as we do these episodes. We are thankful for what you guys have allowed us to do and allowed us to continue to do. So we're very thankful for that, very grateful for that. But we will catch y'all in the next one. Again, top 25 predictions dropping tomorrow. Make sure y'all stay tuned for that one.